Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Janato bhikkave passato asavanang khayang vadami. No ajanato no apassato ti. Dear Dhamma friends, since we have discussed one sutta last time and we were able to complete that, I thought of discussing a different thing this time. So I have selected a different sutta which is available in Samyutta Nikaya, and this sutta is called Upanisa Sutta. Upanisa, the term Upanisa literally means the proximate cause, the recent cause, or the near cause, we can say. So Upanisa Sutta, in many different approaches, many different way, it has some significance into our practice as well as to Buddha's teaching. So I thought of discussing that sutta as a series. If you can't hear, you can come closer. Yeah, somewhere around. Actually, inside is still available.
There are
5 stools inside. So this Upanisa Sutta, actually Buddha starts with a very interesting teaching, which is what I have put as a title. Janato bhikkave passato asavanang khayang vadami no ajanato no apassato. So for the person who knows janato, for the person who sees the passato, for that such person, I declare that it is a possibility of complete eradication or removal of the taints are possible, not to the person who can't see and who don't know. No ajanato, no apassato. Now, after mentioning this kind of a statement, then Buddha asks, King passato, kincha bhikkave janato, king passato asavanang kayo hoti. So, by seeing what and by knowing what, that the complete fading away of taints would happen. So, asking this question, then Buddha himself answering, iti rupang iti rupassa samudayo iti rupassa attangamo. So this is something that we can discuss today, because even though this appear like difficult to understand, this is what we practice. So iti rupang iti rupassa samudayo iti rupassa attangamo. Now if I connect this with our own practice, now suppose you are practicing walking meditation. So simply we are selecting a walking path and we are going in a very relaxed mood from this end to the other end. So at the beginning we don't think we have some sort of deep understanding with this kind of a simple practice, but with some faith we start and then we continue. As we continue, our sort of perceptions reduce, all the complexities in the mind, all the entanglements in the mind start to reduce, and our mind becomes somewhat concentrated and again somewhat simplified. So, as I think in the previous occasions I have mentioned, in Chula Sunyata Sutta, Buddha very clearly mentioned, so while we are at in a city, in a town environment, city environment, we have so much of perceptions regarding the government, regarding the children, regarding the, say, fuel, regarding this, regarding that, so much of things are there. So then you come to a meditation center, you come to a forest monastery, you come to an empty place. So once you reach there, then you actually have to sort of at least temporary, we have to forget all this information, all these matters, all these problems, all these perceptions what we had while we were at the city. So that's something that we need to do. So there, in a way, we do some sort of simplification of our perceptions. Now you have certain perceptions pertaining to that particular place. So nothing else, I mean. Still there are perceptions, still there are problems, still there are matters, still you have some sort of thoughts, but only related to that limited environment. But now you have let go of all the information, all the details, all the news, attachments, etc., pertain to the household life, city life, town life. Now you have kind of something still remaining, that is something related to this particular place. Kalalgoda. Kalalgoda still has some friction, Kalalgoda still has some perceptions, some information, so your mind is somewhat limited to that. Then what we do, you select the body as your first source of mindfulness on the body, and now you are trying to be aware of the body. So when you are trying to be aware of the body, now all the perceptions pertaining to Kalalgoda now slowly fade away. You have to forget them. So while in the sitting meditation, so now you are not thinking anything, but you are trying to be aware of the body. So there's a significant difference between thinking about Kalalgoda, thinking about the problems, thinking various issues we have, whatever it is, and just being aware of the body. So trying to be aware of the body does not mean we are thinking about the body, but we are trying to be aware of the body. Probably you can use some amount of thinking, very limited level at the beginning. That is what we call as noting. Say while sitting, I can simply be aware, sitting. You can sort of remind your mind. Just to discard all other thinking, you are reminding your mind so that you are able to anchor your attention back to the body. Again and again your mind get distracted, going back to the past, going back to the future, thinking about the family, thinking about the politics, etc. But you are coming back, sitting. I am just sitting. So simple. So we are in a way simplifying the whole thing. And later, then our posture, this sitting posture, becomes some sort of an anchor to our wandering mind. So mind again and again distracts, but again and again we are pulling it back and trying to hold onto the body. And as we continue, then what happens? So we become more aware of the body, and now you don't need to think. Now you don't need to remind yourself I am sitting. Rather, you can be aware of your sitting posture. Say your hands are together and you can feel the touching sensation, and your buttocks are touching the chair or the cushion and you can feel it. Say at a certain amount of weight, you can feel it. Your clothes are touching your body, you can feel it. So likewise, you are giving more emphasis to this feeling. You are feeling it. Now what happens to thinking? So thinking becomes less and less. Still thinking may happen related to the past, thinking may happen related to the future, thinking may happen. But currently, present moment, you reduce thinking, rather you trying to be aware of the present moment. What you feel, what you know. Now this is where the body is involved. So the postures, either in the standing you are aware, either in the lying down you are aware, either in the walking you are aware, either in the sitting you are aware, and even the other sub postures you are trying to be aware. So likewise, even at different sub postures you are trying to be aware. So now you are developing awareness. You can simply say it as body awareness. You are simply developing body awareness. And more you develop body awareness, now we instruct, okay, you bring your attention to the very primordial kind of characteristics, more elementary kind of characteristics. So they are nothing but, say, when you are walking, say your foot may feel hardness of the earth, you may feel softness, you may feel the, say, heaviness, softness, maybe the heat, cold, etc. So those most primary sensations you are trying to recognize. Now what is this? Now what we call them as the element characteristics. Now more and more you are trying to be aware of these element characteristics, you may understand, okay, this body is nothing but element characteristics. Now what happened to city? What happened to Kalalgoda? All gone, no? I mean, all of them are very much to the conventional things, but your attention is more, have come or concentrated to your very body, but that body also dissolved into very primary kind of elements, and you are more aware of these element characteristics. So these element characteristics are the ones representing the, in a way, what? Rupa. The materiality is what we define in very much in a more subtle form as the Rupa, materiality. So it is not the Rupa typically we think as a figure or as a shape or as a color, or now say I am calling, okay, this is a gray color, this is red color. So I mean these are more into the conventional level. But when we are trying to be aware of the element characteristics, it is not that we are talking about a color or shape, but they are very much like what we feel, what we know. Colors may be there, but that is more secondary, but these are the more characteristic levels that we are trying to be aware. So very beautifully Most Venerable Matara Sri Jnanarama Mahathero mentioned, so the yogi should be aware, should know about the language of the elements. Language of the elements. So we are trying to be aware elements. So elements are using a different language. They don't talk in Sinhala, they don't talk in English. So they actually talk through their characteristics. So when we know hardness, so we know, okay, now the earth element is talking. When the softness is there, when the hardness is there, when the heaviness is there, when lightness is there, when gross feeling is there, or when softness is there. So all these are the manifestation of the, what we call as the earth element. And when we recognize, okay, there's a kind of a fluidity in the body, so that is the manifestation of water element. When there are, say, heat, cold, so that is the manifestation of the the heat element. And when there is a movement, every time vibrations, moving and all sorts of things, so that movement represents the air element. So when our awareness is more directed towards this kind of information, so now our conventional, or we can call it as the concepts have somewhat faded away, but now we are more into the realistic world. So this is what we basically feel, and on top of that we have built lot of things. And we are living in that built conceptual world. Now meditation helps in that sense to penetrate that conceptual level and come back to the most fundamental kind of knowledge, fundamental kind of knowing, and that is what we can call as the Rupa. So but still to some level, I mean, we simply recognize these are the manifestations of earth element, water element, air element, and then heat element. So likewise we now to some extent understand, okay, these are the ones the whole body consists of. So if you apply the same knowledge to the outside inferentially, okay, you will understand, okay, outside also very similar. I mean, that's no big difference. Whole physical world, then you are sort of simplifying, okay, here also internally also you are experiencing elements, externally also you are experiencing element. So what's the difference? So the difference that we have given, the significance that we have given to the internal elements, okay, I am better, I am beautiful, I am nice, I am handsome, blah blah blah. So all these differences now fades away, and now you feel everywhere elements, nothing but elements. So dhatu manasikara. So that is why Buddha mentioned, say previously with the simile Buddha mentioned, previously as a butcher someone is killing an animal, as a bull, a cow, the kind of perception of an animal is there. But later when he is selling meat, he simply has the perception of meat. He don't care about an animal now. He don't think about an animal, but he sell meat. So similarly, the yogi starts with the simple conventional thing, thinking I am meditating, I am so and so, my name is this, my name is that, I am this, I am that. So likewise we start with that conventional level, but as we continue, that convention slowly fades away, but our understanding is now slowly growing. This is nothing but elements. Then that perception of self, perception of person, perception of I, me, mine, all temporarily, we can say, subsided. What is available now is nothing but elements. So those elements does not belong to any particular person. It does not represent a person, me, myself. It's just elements, that's all, elements. And that helps to, in a way, to break the compactness. So typically we consider this whole body as me, as a one unit. And now that compactness, the boundary we had, all broken. Now if you simply, while closed your eyes, if you try to comprehend the line of your body, the boundary of your body, now it's very difficult to recognize. You may understand that, right? I mean, when you are going through this elements meditation, so it has to fade away. Now you simply close your eyes and recognize where exactly my hand, where exactly the boundary of my hair, head and all these things. Now everything has like blurred. And sometimes yogis experience, it's a kind of a significant way, that whole thing has burst like. So the whole body is burst into different small pieces. It can happen. So likewise the view of compactness now going to break. So this is one insight, we can say. This is one insight. And even sometimes when you look at outside, there also probably you can see the compactness has gone. Everything is like broken. I mean, it is not necessary, it is not a must, but to some yogis it also can happen. And now further, now this is kind of an understanding of the rupa. So rupa, it is not necessary to understand in the most manifold way, say this is the name, this is this thing and all, say more complicated way, like what we do today. Now from science, so they have recognized most kind of atomic parameters and the weights and the molecular weights and etc. More information. But Buddha on the other hand, so his information or his understanding or his direction towards our understanding is more into kind of a simplification. And on the other hand, it directs towards the dispassion. But on the other hand, through science, they never advocate dispassion, right? I mean, what they are advocating is more grasping, more holding, giving more emphasis to a certain area and claiming a self. So even though they are also analyzing the whole physical world into more atomic particles, still their knowledge does not lead towards the dispassion. So Buddha on the other hand, when he introduces rupa, so he gives you more different kind of an explanation. He says, Ruppatiti ko bhikkave rupang vadami. Ruppati means sort of, it is subject to change. It's oppressed by various things. So what is through what this body get oppressed? So he defines, okay, with the heat, this body get oppressed. With the cold, this body get oppressed. And with mosquitoes, this body get oppressed. And then the snakes, this body get oppressed. Because of the hunger, this body get oppressed. Thirst, this body get oppressed. So most, I mean, we can understand those, right? More practical. And more we understand that, so then we lose that more grasping and we lose the more passionate holding towards this body. And we understand why not. I mean, it's true. So then we become more humble. We become more down to earth. Because this body is, I mean, the other one's body also like this. My body is also like that. Constantly it is subject to change. We never know it is when it is going to meet with some sort of situation. Because it is very vulnerable. It is oppressed with so many other conditions. So therefore it is very weak, very feeble. So we understand that real nature. So therefore Buddha's teaching leads to dispassion. But the scientific recent analysis through physics, what we understand does not lead to dispassion, but it leads to something else. So therefore, when Buddha talks about Rupa and try to understand it with our meditation, so if we get some sort of a dispassion, if we understand, okay, this body is subjected to different conditions and it is very weak, kind of feeble, then we are in the correct track. So, but on the other hand, if we get some sort of a conceit, okay, I am the one who understood the Rupa best, then we have gone in the wrong direction. So, therefore, understanding about Rupa is basically in a way kind of simplified, but it is not just the book knowledge. Rather, all this information we have to feel. We have to experientially know. Say, for example, while you are walking, you feel, okay, the hardness, softness. Not a big thing. I mean, these are obvious things, but we are giving more emphasis to that. We give some prominence to that, and we even write that I felt this while I am walking. Okay, my foot felt the hardness, my foot felt the softness. So likewise, we are giving more emphasis to these more ordinary kind of element characteristics. More and more we are giving that emphasis. So then mind get more concentrated onto those element characteristics, and then our vocabulary, our knowledge, awareness is fairly simplified onto this element characteristics. Now, this is another level, and then Buddha wants us to know further. So, as we are further and further observing these phenomena, naturally, our mind will understand their impermanent nature. It is not that we are trying to force our mind to understand. It is not we are trying to condition or program our mind to understand something. Rather, as we are knowing these different characteristics, individual characteristics, more private kind of characteristics to all these elements, so they slowly start to show their common characteristics. So that is what iti rupasa samudayo, iti rupasa attangamo. Now, say hardness. So even today, I think someone has written, okay, while she or he keeping the foot, so she feels, okay, the hardness. But when she lift it up, so that knowledge, the hardness has disappeared. So likewise, that is more simple way. So hardness is something that you are recognizing, you are feeling while your foot is touching the ground, because the ground is more hard comparatively. And as you are lifting your foot, okay, it has disappeared. Now this is very simple way. But more your mindfulness, clear comprehension, concentration improves or more refines, then you may even write differently. You may say, okay, as my foot touching the ground, and you may even remove the term my when the foot is touching the ground. Maybe I feel more hardness, and it is not a single hardness, but a collection of hardness. And at each and every individual hardness, or each and every minute kind of hardness, so that arises and that passes away. So that is where your understanding become more precise, and in other terms, the resolution become more and more. You know, in a camera, so you have, in the old cameras, you have less resolution, right? In the newer cameras, more recent cameras, you have better resolution, wide resolution. Similarly, as your mindfulness, as your concentration grows, so your resolution very much like growing. That indicates you are able to recognize subtle details of the whole picture. And then this is not a single hardness, but a collection of hardness, and it becomes kind of a verb then. It's not a kind of a noun. Now you are feeling hardness, and it does not remain the same. So it quickly arises and then it has gone. Right? I mean, individual small say hardness is there, but hardness is in a way is wrong. We can say the process of hardness, right? So that process begins and process disappears. Process begins, the process disappears. So then our mind comprehends that. How this hardness arises, how this hardness disappears. How this softness arises, how this softness disappears. How this, say, heat arises, how this heat disappears. How this vibration arises, movement arises, how this movement disappears. The vibration itself is a movement, right? So the movement, a kind of a wave. Okay, how this wave arises, how this wave disappears. So likewise, so your understanding become more precise and more with detail, and each and every minute detail give you more very rapid kind of a process that you are trying to understand. So the whole process is in a very rapid sequence, and your mind also in a such momentum to understand that sequence. In a series it is arising and passing very rapidly. Your mind is also quite capable of understanding all that information. So that is where we can say, okay, iti rupassa samudayo iti rupassa attangama. Now what happens? The continuity is broken. So typically we have a perception of continuity. I have born 30 years ago, I have born 40 years ago, I have born 50 years ago, now I am so and so. Okay, after 20 years I am going to die. So I am continuing, right? I am continuing. Still I born 50 years ago, but I am continuing. Now I am living, and maybe tomorrow also I will be there. 20 years ago I will be gone. So this kind of a continuity is there. But as we understand the impermanence, so it's a very rapid arising and passing away. What happens to the continuity? The compactness coming because of the continuity also broken. Every moment you are arising and passing, every moment we are experiencing death, momentary kind of a death. But conventionally we call, okay, I my birthday is this, my death day I don't know. so likewise. So, but it's a convention. But when we more precisely telling, we have to say, okay, if each and every moment I am reborn, and each and every moment I am dying. So likewise, more and more we understand this whole rupa, the materiality, the physical world is nothing but this quick arising and passing away. So this quick arising and passing away we can therefore understand. So this is quite a kind of a common characteristic to all the conditioned phenomena. Whatever the conditioned phenomena, this whole world or the whole universe has is nothing but these three characteristics. Upado panyayati, vayo panyayati, tritassa anyatatam panyayati. So Buddha mentioned, whatever the conditioned phenomena represent, show three characteristics. Upado panyayati. So you can understand, okay, there is a kind of a rising part, beginning part, starting side. Vayo panyayati, the fade away part, the dissolution, the destruction, fading away, passing away side. In between, there's a change. Tritassa anyatatam panyayati. That's it. So you are coming to a very deep understanding. Okay, now through your mind you understand, okay, this is what available the whole world. So today also I think you question this now. So that's what all we have, right? So now we are still only dealing with the physical side, the rupa. So through the Kayanupassana, so this is what slowly we are trying to understand. So you haven't explored the mental world. You haven't gone to the feelings, perceptions, etc., etc. But you are keeping your attention more to the body. But through the body also you may understand, okay, nothing but arising and quick arising and passing away. Now this is kind of an eye-opening insight. So if you have that knowledge, it's a kind of an eye-opening insight. And the whole compactness has disappeared. All the continuity has disappeared. And all the conventional things, at least temporarily, has disappeared. So very much like we are living in a kind of a process. So there's a physical processes, we can say, different physical processes are there. And we may comprehend that too using another mental process. So that is also not a single process. So millions of mental processes are there. So in different way, Buddha explains this. Either say, if we come to the ayatana, sense bases, okay, there are eye, and there are forms, and the knowledge arise, the knowing part arise, that is the eye consciousness. There are sounds, then there are ear, and then the ear consciousness arise when they are meeting together. So likewise, differently we can explain that, but now I have taken, according to this sutta, according to the aggregates. So likewise, when we are practicing Kayanupassana, so more and more we are trying to comprehend this knowledge, or we are trying to understand this information, this insight. So first of all, we have to simplify our knowledge or simplify our perception just to these elementary characteristics, forgetting about the politics, forgetting about the fuel, forgetting about the gas, forgetting about everything, just coming to the body and then going to the elements and the elements knowledge. And later understanding what happened to elements. They have the arising, they have the passing away. Suppose as you are developing, slowly you are looking at various feelings now. Time to time, as you are experiencing this kind of thing, okay, you feel kind of pleasurable feelings. So you experience that. Time to time you experience painful feelings, and you experience that. Do you need to think about it? No need, right? I mean, you experience it, you feel it. So that's why the feeling, no, you are feeling it. So you feel the pleasurable feelings, you feel the painful feelings, and you feel the equanimous feelings. So you are feeling it. At least these three types of feelings you are feeling. And if we come to the mind, okay, the happiness you can feel, or maybe little domanassa, the despair, you can feel, or sometimes the equanimity you can feel. So either bodily feelings or even the mental feelings you can feel, and you don't need to think about it, but you can feel it. And say, when you pay attention to assume that there's a feeling, say painful feeling at your knee, then you are again and again putting your mind, putting your attention to that particular feeling, then you can feel it. So later the same thing happens here also. Previously you feel, okay, there's a pleasurable feeling arisen and it lasted for 5 minutes, then it fade away. But later you understand it is not a single pleasurable feeling, it's a group of pleasurable feelings, thousands of minute pleasurable feelings. Altogether, the resultant we feel as a kind of a pleasurable feeling, but it's not a single pleasurable feeling. So there you are improving that resolution. What we discussed similarly in the Rupa. Same thing happens here as well. So previously we experienced as a single pleasurable feeling, but it is not a single pleasurable feeling anymore. It's a collection of minute pleasurable feelings, and each and every pleasurable feeling now you can understand. Okay, they are pleasurable feelings. You can feel it, kind of a pleasure is there. So as you are further improving, okay, painful feelings are there. Then even the equanimous feelings are there. But as you move forward, so this distinction even can disappear. So you can't now probably recognize whether it is pleasurable or painful or equanimous, but feelings are there. So likewise, further the mind simplify the whole process, and now you understand, okay, nothing but feelings. Everywhere what I experience is nothing but feelings. Either pleasurable feelings, either painful feelings, either equanimous feelings. While eating, nothing but feelings. While say walking, nothing but feelings. While standing, nothing but feelings. Say I'm now sitting, okay, I can explain it. I'm just experiencing some, say, equanimous feelings. So if I feel some discomfort, I can say, okay, to some extent I am feeling the painful feelings, discomfort feelings. So in terms of feelings, I can explain my experience. So similarly, so this is where we are dealing in the feeling aggregate. So we know, okay, we know the feelings are there. And as we are further practicing, then we understand, okay, these feelings have the nature to come, feeling have the nature to arise, feeling have the nature to pass away. So this is also not through the book. You understand. Feelings are rising and feelings are passing away. Feelings are rising and feelings are passing away. So this is where this is what we go through when we are practicing Vedananupassana as we develop Satipatthana. So it's a kind of a gradual path. So probably we may start with Anapanasati. That is where we are dealing with the Kayanupassana. And slowly that developed mindfulness and concentration can start to explore the feelings. Then again, now we are back in the Vedananupassana. So in the Vedananupassana, we are giving more emphasis to feelings and we are trying to understand feelings. So feeling aggregate. Iti Vedana Samudayo, iti Vedanaya Attangamo. So that particular aggregate also Buddha mentioned. So you need to know. Janato passato. We need to know, we need to see how they arise, how they pass away. Now, as we continue, so there are various perceptions. In the morning I had one kind of perception, but probably now I have different perception. Okay, regarding a particular person. Okay, I had one perception, he's a good person, but later once he did something wrong, she's a bad person. So when I love someone, then she's a really beautiful, nice person. When after married 10 years, it's a wrong perception. So this Mr. Rajapaksa explained that, no? So evidence are already here. So we had different perceptions, right? I mean, regarding a particular person, regarding a particular phenomena, regarding a particular situation, regarding the government. So a few years ago, this is the best government, and nowadays the worst government. So we have the perceptions. Now all are perceptions. So where are these perceptions? So it's in the mind, right? So in the mind we have different perceptions. So the perceptions also we can consider like what we had when we are considering about our body. Okay, my body started 50 years ago, then it's remaining for a long time, then after another 20 pass away. This is the body. But that is more conventional. But the body constantly arising and passing away, right? We are coming to the more instantaneous kind of an understanding. So the same thing we can say to the perception also. So perception regarding the government. Okay, we had a kind of a perception regarding the government 3 years ago. So it has changed. It has changed constantly, right? I mean, so you can't maintain the same perception forever for 3 years, right? I mean, it's constantly changing. So I need to understand, okay, internally I have kind of a perception regarding a person for some time, then that even during the day it is changing. The morning I had a one type of perception, but maybe during the afternoon I have a different perception, maybe in the evening I have a different perception. So the perception also change. But we need to have a permanent perception. You should not change. You should love me forever. So that is what we expect, right? I mean, that is what we want. So likewise, this is the perception I have. She is my fiancée, she is my girlfriend, she is my wife, she is my husband. So she should not change. So the perception I am holding. So likewise, so the perceptions that we are encountering, we are holding into the mind, also are quite vulnerable, also changing, and they are beyond my control. So if we are able to understand how these perceptions are changing, I had one perception towards the government 3 years ago, now it has completely changed. It is not the whole one perception change all these 3 years, but every moment it has changed, right? Every moment it has changed. So likewise, so if we apply this to the perceptions, though, that is also we can understand is changing. But I mean, all these, even though we call it perception, so Buddha go even little deeper, more refined level, Buddha call it as signs. So various signs. Say when we consider kind of say form, so we have a kind of a sign, okay, someone is tall, someone is short, someone is fat, someone is fair, someone is beautiful, someone is attractive, someone is ugly. Likewise, all our perceptions. So using which we recognize, right? So one attribute of perception, sanya, sanjanatiko bhikkave sanya vadami, right? So we are using the perceptions. It is not really perception there, we can call it the sign, sanya. So more primary level, more fundamental level. So we are using this sanya, the signs, to recognize again. Say you saw someone 5 years ago and you become friendly with him or her. Say after 5 years you are now trying to, assume that you meet him. Now probably you can recognize him. Okay, you are so and so. How are you recognizing? So you had recorded certain marks. You had recorded certain signs with respect to the form, the sight in our mind stored, and once you see, okay, now you map the previous signs with the new map, very much like a computer program. You do image recognition. So I call it as me, myself. I mean, yeah, so and so. Then we hug and kiss and all these things. So the perceptions, and actually even though English term for sanya is simply taken perception, but in Pali the sanya, it has more primary fundamental kind of thing, that is the signs. The signs are there. So with respect to forms there are signs. So therefore I can differentiate two persons, right? So the information are different, so I can use different signs so that I can distinctly recognize each one of you, right? So how about sounds? Same thing. Sounds also has different marks, different signs. Say when a dog is barking, you can instantly recognize, oh, it's a dog. When a crow is, I don't know, what's the term? Crow. Cross. Okay, crowing. Then you know it's not a dog. How you know? It's different, right? I mean, you have certain signs of the sounds. Then when a parrot, what's the term? I also don't know. But you know, I mean, it's a parrot, right? So when someone is laughing, now you know it's not a dog. So it's a human, someone is laughing. So we can distinctly recognize, okay, using the attributes, using these signs, marks. Okay, with respect to sounds, you have different frequencies. We can more precisely, if we use the scientific terms, right? Certain different frequencies are there. With respect to these frequencies, so I can recognize. So this is how the record is recording, right? Using the frequencies. Then how about smells? Same thing, right? So you can recognize what's the rose. When you are smelling a rose, you can recognize as rose flower. When you are smelling a lotus, you can recognize. So likewise, even to this whole spectrum of odors, you can understand, okay, there are little signs are there using which we can recognize. And then when you apply to various formations, say when you have kind of a lustful feeling, when you have an angry feeling, when you have more loving kindness feeling, we have jealousy feeling, are they all same? I mean, they have different tastes, like, so different characteristics are there, so using which you can recognize. So likewise, different either mental formations, bodily formations, verbal formations. So when I am talking using a language, so different characteristics are there, signs are there, sounds are there, vowels are there. So we are using the gamut of signs to recognize. And what else? Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Spasa, Pottabba. So the contact, same thing. When your pet, say cat, is touching yourself, then you can recognize, okay, it is my cat, my pet. When snake bite, you can recognize, okay, it's quite different. So likewise, if you consider the whole body, so they, through the touching sensation, through the tangibles, you can recognize distinctly. So they are a spectrum of sanya. So likewise, all these sanya, are they permanent? So as you know, all these marks, signs are there. So each and every one of them are also arising and passing away. So we can apply all this knowledge even there. We can apply all this knowledge into then to the sankhara. So various bodily formations, various verbal formations, and various mental formations. So constantly we are constructing. Say I am looking at that glass of water. So then internally I get a little perception, and then I can recognize, okay, this is a glass of water. It's a beautiful glass of water. Maybe hot water. It belongs to Lakshmi. Don't know. Maybe to someone. Right? So I can now slowly develop that, right? I can construct on it. It is not just seeing, but I am constructing on it. I have taken some information. With that information I didn't stop, but I am constructing internally. This is good, this is bad, this is wrong. I have seen that yesterday, maybe on tomorrow I will see it. So I can do a lot of construction, sort of thinking, proliferation. Now we are coming to thinking. Now this is where the sankhara. So sankhara, thinking, is there. All into the sankhara skandha is where we do a lot of thinking. So all these thoughts, are they permanent? So they are also, we understand. So this whole sankhara khanda. So we understand, okay, different sankharas are there. Okay, maybe related to the loving kindness sankhara, compassion sankhara, maybe lust sankhara, anger sankhara, jealousy sankhara, different thoughts, all sankhara. So likewise, a huge area again. And you are distinctly recognizing different sankharas are there, mental formations are there, bodily formations are there, constructions are there. We are adding, manipulating, subtracting, fabricating, thinking, all sorts of things, all sankhara. All are impermanent. Now, so actually you may understand that in which part. If you consider the Satipatthana, is it in the Kayanupassana? No. Vedananupassana? No. Maybe Chittanupassana, maybe Dhammanupassana. Yeah. So Chittanupassana, more into the consciousness. We are trying to understand different consciousness are there, different knowings are there. And if you come to the Dhammanupassana, that is where all five aggregates are being further discovered, further explored. So therefore, all five aggregates we are really analyzing. We are trying to know, trying to understand more deeply when we are practicing Satipatthana. So this is a kind of practical approach, not through the book. I mean, you can use an anatomy book to understand the body. I think Dr. Neeta has done that, right? So, I mean, we have done that. But Buddha's approach is different. So, he didn't carry a book to the forest, right? When Sariputra didn't carry a book to the forest. So, you didn't carry a book here. But you simply close your eyes, pay your attention to your body. And at the beginning, you also didn't understand much, right? I mean, so I feel hardness. When I am holding this fan, okay, I feel little hardness, little heaviness. So someone can even disregard that. What is that? I mean, did I come here to know that? Someone can simply look down it. But as you refine your attention, more you are able to more precisely pay attention, then you understand more deeply what is really going on. So likewise, So the Satipatthana helps us to look at this experience objectively. All our experience we typically interpret subjectively. So Buddha helps us to, in a way, to analyze this whole experience more objectively, in an unbiased way, non-judgmental way, and just a very equanimous kind of analysis. So you are able to come out of the experience and see as a separate person, kind of an outsider's perspective. Till you are sort of bounded, till you are sort of imprisoned in your experience, you can't understand it more precisely, because you are being bounded by that. You are being conditioned by that. Your mind being colored by that, right? Assume that you are looking at someone and you love that person, you like that person. Then your mind is already conditioned, and all the perceptions are arising with respect to that with that previous preconditioning. But the Satipatthana, on the other hand, helps us to come out of that preconditioning, come out of that preconceived ideas, and to take a better objective perspective, objective analysis. So that is something more interesting in the Satipatthana practice. So we are learning that perspective from the beginning. You can't immediately have it to the mind, but rather you are trying to develop that perspective from the beginning. Say for example, while walking, so till you are thinking that I am walking, my left foot is touching, my right foot is touching, still we are in the experience. I couldn't yet come out. But later probably there's a situation, then you are experiencing, it's very much like I am kind of paddling a bicycle, I am kind of rowing a boat, it's like a skeleton simply walking. Then the perception has changed. So you are able to look at it objectively. So it's a body, something is walking, it is not me. It's very much like a kind of riding a bike, maybe rowing a boat, maybe like a robot. So now you are away from that. So you are outside the experience, but you are able to look at the body more objectively. Your perception has completely changed. Similarly, assume that you are experiencing Anapanasati, practicing Anapanasati. So there also, till you are trying something, you are not yet recognizing the Anapanasati in the proper way. But when you allow the body to breathe naturally, and you simply go away, come to the back seat and enjoy the ride. Let the body breathe as it like, and you are not taking any stress, any tension, asking the body to breathe as you like. let it breathe as it like. Allow the body to breathe naturally, and then you have a kind of a second person's perspective, right? Another outsider's perspective. So the body is breathing. Body is breathing. It is not I am breathing. Body is breathing. Body has the nature to breathe. So then we can say, okay, now I am doing Kaye Kaya Anupassi Viharati. Kaye Kaya Anupassi Viharati. So it's a very beautiful phrase Buddha used. Kaye Kaya Anupassi Viharati. So let the body breathe. So you have a kind of a knowledge. Okay, you are experiencing this body is breathing. This body is breathing. So then later you feel that this body is feeling. This body has the nature to feel. So the mind is perceiving. So always attributing someone, okay, she is good, she is bad, he is good, he is bad, he is tall, he is tall, he is good. I don't know. So every time trying to attribute a perception, trying to put marks, and then constructions. So you are looking at your own mind and trying to understand how mind is trying to construct. So using a kind of a sound, you can do a lot of constructions. So while the mind is doing that constructions, fabrications, now you as a third person, as an outsider, you can look at it, and even you can laugh at it, right? then you don't need to go to a cinema. Cinema is inside. Your mind is doing the cinema every moment. Every time is making a story, right? Every time it is making a story. Out of nothing, out of void it is making a story. Out of pebbles it is making a story. So everywhere we are trying to make a story. So that is what the newspapers are doing, no? The whole mass media and whole social media, every media, that's what they do. With little fact, so they develop, they construct, they fabricate, they exaggerate, and we also do the same thing. So how about looking at it and laughing at it? Then when we do that, then this fading away happens. So then less and less fabrications, less and less constructions, less and less sankhara, less and less thinking. When we are able to look at chitte chittanupassī vihirati. So you are looking at the mind as a second person, as an outsider. So you are developing that from the beginning, from the kāye kānupassī vihirati, vedanasu vedananupassī vihirati. Now you do chitte chittanupassī vihirati. Okay, the mind is thinking, mind is trying to think, mind is trying to construct, trying to fabricate. Then you are recognizing, okay, this fellow is trying to do something, is trying to tempt me, trying to sort of catch me, tempting me to do something. So likewise, you are now looking at the whole thing as a second person, as an outsider to your own mind. So likewise, so this Satipatthana perspective, looking at the whole experience as a separate person, not being trapped in the experience and experiencing it subjectively, what you do is come out of the experience. If necessary, you can analyze it objectively and look at it as an outsider. So that gives us a better opportunity to understand the whole thing. Not through a book, but to your own reflection. Experientially you understand what's really going on in the body, what is really going on in the feelings, what's really going on in these perceptions, how all these fabrications, constructions, preparations, the sankhara, how all these things are happening, and how time to time the knowing part happens. Every time when you are looking, when you are hearing, when you are smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, how that knowing part happens. So full scientific, but different approach. Differently you are looking at, like a second person, as a third person, as an outsider, you are looking at the whole experience and analyzing. So that we need to know, and then we are not promoting our inner taints. So typically when I see a beautiful sight, what I used to do, I took the surface value, surface color, surface shape, my preconceived ideas, recognize she, he as a person, as a young man, young woman, so and so. Then do a lot of constructions, hold it, grasp it, want it. So much of this. But now, actually, at that time what happens? Kāmasava improving, bhavasava improving, say avijjasava improving, everything improving, all the asavas, all the taints, all the defilements, all preconceived ideas, everything improving, defilements are increasing. But now it's different, right? Now you are looking at the whole thing in a different manner. So where the thinking? When the thinking stopped, where is there a way to grow these asavas? I mean, you are hearing a sound, right? The generator is working. Can't you simply stop thinking about it? Just hearing? I mean, hearing, right? You don't need to have any anger about that sound, right? It's just hearing. You don't need to have kind of a desire towards that sound. You don't need to hate that sound. Just hearing. So if we are able to stop at the level of hearing, then we are not promoting asavas. We are not promoting taints. We are not promoting defilements. So likewise, as a result of Satipatthana practice, so we are able to know, we are able to feel, we are able to understand, and not going towards the fabrications, and just to know. And we are limiting ourselves, restraining ourselves to that knowledge, to that level. So where you see, you just stop at that seeing. When you hear, you restrain yourself just to the hearing. You are not thinking about it. You are not writing a poem about it. You are not writing a book about it. Just calm down. Just hear. So actually, I like to wind up the session with a small, interesting, different situation. Venerable Mahakassapa, after becoming an Arahant, so he's explaining, at night, I look at the sky with various fireflies. It's a beautiful sight to see. So, has he constructed? Are there any taints? So just seeing, right? So that therefore, we don't need to think this is. We are going to a very kind of blunt or kind of a callous kind of a situation, right? Because while seeing, just stopping at the seeing, hearing at the hearing, it does not mean that we become completely emotionally callous people, right? Rather, we can enjoy it kind of an unbiased way, not putting our own interpretations to it, not being giving kind of biased appraisals, but we can enjoy keeping it as it is. Very much like you are enjoying a flower while keeping it at the tree. You are not going to pluck it, right? But let it be. Just enjoy it as it is. Something like that. So therefore, they, in a way, are not kind of a blind people or deaf people. Rather, they fully fledged people. But they didn't do what we do. So we are doing a lot of manipulations and all additions, subtractions, and we do all these constructions. But once we are able to stop that, so still the experience is there. So therefore Buddha mentioned visankhara gatan cittang. The mind does not do the constructions. Mind does not do fabrications. Mind does not do a lot of preparations. But experience is there. So something to reflect, something to think about it. How Buddha take us in a different approach. So it is not that we become completely robust-like, incompassionate, not feeling anything or something like that. Rather, we have the complete that kind of humanistic features. So that is why he is most compassionate person, right? So Buddha is represented as the most compassionate person. And while when someone is doing something good, he has the altruistic joy, mudita. So those are the most interesting human qualities. So we do have that human qualities, but because of our own preconceived ideas, coloring, conditioning, so we are not allowing these beautiful qualities to blossom. So if we are able to stop those constructions, so those inner qualities may have a chance to blossom, to bloom. So they are very much like the inherent qualities to all the humans, not to just to anybody, just to all the human beings have this potential. So therefore Buddha shows us a kind of an interesting path to touch these very innocent, very pure kind of human qualities. So let's try ourselves to approach those human qualities, to develop those qualities which we actually inherit, And that is what Buddha mentioned that we all have. And without doing our own constructions, additions and all those things, if you are able to allow the mind to grow through the satipatthana, grow through the mindfulness practice, experience through the direct experience, then we have a better approach, better opportunity to understand those deep truths. So with that final note, I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening. So today actually we have spent fair amount of time in Dhamma discussion as well as the Dhamma sermon. And with that, and again we all were practicing the Buddha's teaching to the extent we can. So with that we were able to accumulate a lot of merits. Let's share these merits with all the past devil relatives, all the celestial beings, and whoever in need of merits. And let's wish these merits help us also to attain path fruition, Nibbana. While keeping these good wishes in our mind, let's recite the traditional verses. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo sataṃ samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo sataṃ samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo sataṃ samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.